Robin.
Hey, Mike.
I'm clicking the buttons so fast, I'm turning myself on and off. So, how's everyone?
I was doing the same thing.
Of course, I started my way out here and Kate hands me the phone. It's David's birthday today, my eldest. And so I'm like, happy birthday. I'm really sorry, but I gotta go. So I'm gonna call him back. And we'll
We
catch
can
up
make this quick so you can call back.
Yeah, exactly. Whew. All right, the agenda says 7:40, Robin. So what was that game show where you had to name that tune in under so many minutes? Can you end this meeting by 7:30?
I believe I can.
I believe in you.
What do you think, Mike?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
All right, Chris.
Not too bad. I'm in uncharted territory. I'm running this meeting on my phone, so bear with me.
Well, glad you said something in case it goes wrong, and then we'll blame it on your phone. So
Yeah, Mike's the co-host, so we should be good. My computer picked an inopportune time to run a firmware update, regrettably. So we're making it work.
do you think they actually know? I think they check our calendars before they do one of those installs and go, oh, it looks like he's got an important meeting. Let's do it right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hey,
Chris.
Chris.
How you doing?
Hello.
Doing well. Doing well. Had to think about it though, but doing well.
Good. How are we looking, Mark? We need one more.
Jennifer's here. I'm just letting her in now.
She's on the call?
Yeah, so
Yep.
that should,
I'm just remembering.
yeah, that would give us a quorum if
Do we know if Eric was planning to join?
he was planning to, yes.
Okay, give him a minute.
Yeah, I'll just start the meeting. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's Tuesday, March 4th meeting, following guidance issued by the Commonwealth in March of 2023 regarding open meeting law. We are conducting this meeting remotely, and any individuals wishing to participate can do so using the Zoom video conferencing technology. The link to the meeting is on the agenda, which can be found on the town website under Selectmen's Meetings. We are conducting this meeting utilizing the the Zoom webinar technology. And as such, you will be a participant and not a panelist. To begin the meeting, I'm going to take a roll call vote. Robin Hunter, Chair, present.
Dave Haviland, present.
The first item of business is citizens' comments, even though it's not on the agenda. I assume it's the first item of business. So if anybody has a comment that they're wanting to share, please raise your hand and we will give you access to the meeting. I don't see any raised hands. Does anybody?
No.
All right. So I am going to move to the first item of business, and it's a little different this evening. Our first item of business is a joint meeting between the Park and Rec Commission and the Board of Selectmen, and that's to appoint a vacant position. So I'm going to turn it over to the Chair of Park and Rec, and I guess you have to start your meeting, Chris?
Thanks, Robin. I call this Park and Recreation meeting to order. I'm now going to do a roll call. Eric Loeffler,
Present.
Mike Gilio,
Present.
Jen Damon,
Present.
and Chris Boland present. So we have a quorum.
Okay.
So I'll hand it back over to you, Robin.
And I think this is past the baton. I am going to turn it over to Mark, because Mark, are you going to give a little bit of background?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, it's up
Okay.
to Chris can as
Okay.
well, if he wants to. Either one.
All right.
Mark wrote this, but I'll read it. I have to give Mark credit.
I could read it too, but I thought I'd let you do the honors.
Thanks. So I'd like you to introduce Sarah Jardine. Sarah and her family moved to Boston from Boston to Dover in 2018. Sarah has been an active member of the community, serving as president of the Center for the Development of Children's Parents Association and volunteering in various roles at Chickering. Sarah is also a dedicated parent volunteer with Girl Scouts and the Dover Mothers Association. Her daughters in kindergarten and second grade are involved in Dover Parks and Recreation programs. Sarah is passionate about giving back to the community and supporting her daughters in their activities.
And I guess just as a little bit of background information, that we are here this evening to fill a Park and Rec vacancy, which results from the recent passing of Kathy Weld. I think many in the community know Kathy Weld. For years, she gave back. She was a fixture to this community. She stuck with the community center, and I think we have a lot to owe her when we open those doors. I know she was an extremely active member of Park and Rec and really gave back a lot to this community. So once again, I would like to thank her for everything she's done. And Sarah, we thank you for stepping in. You have big shoes to fill, but it sounds like you'll be able to do it. So thank you. Dave, do you have any comments?
Well, welcome to Dover. Thank you so much for volunteering. And it sounds like Park and Rec will be made whole again. So thank you.
So with that, I am going to move to appoint Sarah Jardine to the Park and Recreation Commission to fill an unexpired vacancy until the town election of May 19th, 2025.
I'll second that. Do you need a second from Park and Rec though?
No, so you're acting as just one big board and commission tonight, so that's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
Now you just all do a roll call.
Okay, so then all in favor, I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Hi, Chris Boland.
Hi, Eric Loeffler.
Hi, Mike Gilio.
Hi, Jen Damon.
It's official. And if you don't like it in 2 months, you don't have to run again. So Chris, you have to treat her nicely.
I know. Pressure's on. Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you
Right.
to the Board of Selectmen for hosting this joint meeting. I would now like to adjourn the Park and Rec meeting, and I'm going to take a roll call. Eric Loeffler,
Yes.
Mike Gilio,
Yes.
Jen Damon,
Yes.
and Sarah Jardine, first vote.
And
All
if
right.
anybody wants to stay on and listen to our meeting, you're more than welcome. But I won't hold it against you if you go eat dinner.
Thank you so
Dave's got-
much.
Dave's
Thank
got
you
somewhere
all.
to
and
go.
Thanks
Everyone.
again, Sarah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Moving right along, and I get to pass this over to Mike, is item 1.2 on this agenda. And this is to approve a grant application for the dispatch operations with the Holbrook Regional Emergency Communication Center. And Mike, I believe you're going to give us a little bit of background on this.
Absolutely. I'm just moving in Chief Wright and Chief Vinci, who can
Okay.
fill in and provide a little more information.
Okay, you see, I'm so eager to get this done by 7:30 that I'm just moving along, disregarding other participants that might be instrumental to the explanation here.
No, this is good because I certainly have given an overview. So, as the board might recall, Dover participated in a feasibility study back in 2024 regarding regionalizing dispatch at that time with the towns of Dover, Westwood, and Medfield. During that study, about halfway through or towards the end, the study actually eliminated Medfield and we continued on with just Dover and Westwood. However, once the study was finalized and we actually began work on an IMA between the two communities, Westwood decided they were no longer going to pursue regional dispatch. So that no longer is an option for us. So despite that, the study was very clear that Dover would greatly benefit from considering regionalizing our dispatch operations for public safety. Again, for the public, this is both police and fire, so it's all of our public safety dispatch, and that's in terms of the quality of service, technology, capital expenses, operational efficiencies. So we didn't want to just let it drop. So we've been looking at other options. So one certainly is similar to Westwood, other communities that may not have a regional dispatch and trying to join as a partnership. That's going to take quite some time, probably a year plus if we were to try to find another community. So the other place we looked is there are already existing regional dispatch services throughout Massachusetts. And one that Chief Wright specifically has experience with in two different communities is the Holbrook Regional Emergency Communication Center. And just for reference, or just to make sure I note for the public, at first blush, I think the reaction is, geez, Holbrook, that's not near us. That's not going to be a good partnership. But the reality is that for dispatch, we could dispatch with Florida. The dispatchers are out on the road. They're working at desks. They're trained professionals. So the distance does not make any sort of difference in terms of quality of service. The Holbrook Emergency Communications Center, it currently serves 13 communities, including our neighbor Sherborne. And they've provided some really valuable feedback and had a really positive experience with that. So I'm going to let Chief Wright specifically and Chief Vinci talk a little bit about Chief Wright, his experiences in both Sharon and Norwood, where he joined Holbrook. But I did want to just reiterate for the board, and it was in the notes with your agenda, this is not a binding commitment. What we're asking for tonight is support of this grant, which will give us time as the grant process goes through to continue to look into this and consider signing an IMA with Holbrook. We actually already have a draft of an IMA, which is with town council for review. And if we think it's appropriate, we'll come back to you, and then we can look for your support on formally pursuing this opportunity. So, Chief, do you want to talk a little bit about your experiences regionalizing dispatch specifically with Holbrook?
Thank you very much for having me tonight. My most experience is through the town of Sharon. The town of Sharon, who is also 2 or 3 towns away from Holbrook. We were the first fire department that went into their regional system. That was close to 15 years ago now. as with any transition, there's a few bumps in the road, but it's been an outstanding experience for our town, the town of Sharon. And it allowed, we were dispatching with firefighters previous to that. So moving it into a professional dispatch where there's more than one person in the center. If it's a serious call, they can EMD the call, which is emergency medical dispatch the call, while they're dispatching personnel, and keep those communication lines back and forth. If you've been in a professional dispatch center recently, it really is amazing the tools that we have in today's world. The E911 maps that pop up pinpoint, locations as well as the signal and GPS signal allows. They integrates with our CAD systems, which we're trying to move forward as well, so that real-time updates can come direct to the staff responding to calls. So there's a lot of benefits. I also was an interim chief over in the town of Norwood when they transitioned from a fire dispatch to the Holbrook. And again, they've had an excellent experience. It takes a lot of work to do this transition, but it's well worth it in the end. And I know I've talked to Chief Ward over in Sherburne. They are very happy with the services they're receiving from Holbrook. It's relatively new. I think it's been there maybe a year, a little over. I highly recommend moving in this direction. If there's any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer.
So I know that within the town of Dover, we have cell phone signal issues. So would having a regional dispatch, would that change anything?
It
From
wouldn't
what we
change anything.
experience now? No.
No, it'd be the same. Whatever signal you have would,
Okay.
it's really a switching thing for as far as where the calls go. It already goes into a communications, a 911
Hub?
hub, if you will, correct.
Okay.
And then it's just the computer tells it to go to Dover Police or Holbrook. And it's really that simple, so it doesn't change anything in regard to how we receive our calls. And a while back, I don't know if you remember, cell calls went to the state police before they finally came back around to the local town. Now, luckily, they've set it up where if it knows that it's in Dover, it'll go to the Dover dispatching service. So that's a great step in the right direction for 911. So things are just getting better as
Okay.
technology improves.
Okay. And I know, certainly the study that was done was very supportive in moving towards regionalization. And I do know that Sherborne has been very pleased with the service that they've gotten from Holbrook. And I was somewhat disappointed when the potential for regionalization with Westwood and Medfield fell through. And I think moving as fast as we did gives us the opportunity to ensure that we could get a grant for this year rather than having to wait an additional year. And we can take the next few months until we sign the IMA to see if any of the other regionalization opportunities may fit better. But I think there's a lot to be said to go with a center that's been established for 13 years, that knows that has experience bringing in towns and knows how to do it. So there's definitely, in my mind, an advantage there.
The only thing I'd add to that, Robin, is that I'm glad Chief Wright has personal experience with
Right.
Holbrook. That means a lot when someone's experienced it themselves. So that I'm all for this. I mean, the concept is a no-brainer, and how you found a replacement so fast was unbeknownst to me, but I guess that doesn't matter. But thank you.
Right.
Yeah, and if I could just jump in and echo
I was
what,
going to ask you.
yeah, if I could echo what you said, the good thing, I guess the silver lining in all of this is that Holbrook's been established. They've been around, like Chief Wright said, for 15 years. They've already taken their lumps and learned their lessons, which we would have had some growing pains joining with a brand new rec. So I think this could potentially avoid some of those hazards that we may stumble over. And just to echo what Chief Wright said, Chief Galvin is the Sherburne police chief. And he, again, he thinks it's worked out very well for his community. There hasn't been a drop off in service at all. So we always kind of had them on the back burner in case something fell through with Westwood, and we had established a line of communications early in the process in case that happened. And fortunately, by doing that, it enabled us to just kind of jump right into it. And with the help of Chief Wright and Mike, we were able to get it together pretty quickly.
Well, thank you all, because I agree with Robin, waiting a year doesn't really serve any benefit for anyone.
So I think reading the tea leaves here, I think we're all in favor of this. So I'm going to make a motion unless somebody wants to say something. So I'm going to move to approve the participation in Mass State 911 grant application regarding regionalization dispatch operations between Dover and the Holbrook Regional Emergency Communication Center, and authorize the town administrator to sign the letter of attestation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
Well, thank you, everyone,
Yeah, no,
for
that's
making
is
this
great.
happen.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so I will be patient this time while you bring in Al and Dick Malcolm. And this is a discussion on and vote on some community center building project change orders.
And just for the record, we heard from Dick. He won't be here tonight, but Al is here.
Okay, all right. So should we turn it over to Al to
Yeah.
summarize the current requests for the change orders? You know, I would like the community to know that we received these earlier, about last week, and we were able to go over them and ask questions to the building community, to the building committee, and we did get answers to those questions. Dave is the liaison for the Board of Selectmen. So Dave, if you want to give some background before we turn it over to Al.
Well, yeah, and Al, you might have the shortest meeting ever here because we got all of our questions answered. And so our comfort level is back right where it needs to be. Again, for the general public, these are change orders that are a normal part of a building project, especially with renovation attached. And the specifics are in the agenda. We needed at the Board of Selectmen level to make sure that we are on terra firma with what we were trying to accomplish. We are. And so the only thing, Al, is with an anticipated second of Robin's motion, which is coming, I'm just going to ask you to check on the very last one for the light shields. If you could just double check that it really will need 8 hours to get those two installed. That's the level of detail the public should probably know, that we do read through these things and we do pay attention to it. Al does a great job at taking rounds 1, 2, and 3. The building committee takes 4, and then it comes to the selectmen. And here we are. So that's my only. We're down to a few hours in question. That's it.
All right, and just for the public's sake, you know, we're getting very close to completion of this project, which is very exciting for the town. Now, I think it's a couple of months away now, if I were to read the tea leaves. And so these are really some of the final change orders. We have an amendment to the contract with the OPM because the project is taking a little longer than we anticipated. We have a change order for a restocking fee for material that was returned of $7,863.55.
Caused by one of our inspectors. It's important for people to know
Right.
that.
Thank you. Right. And this change was driven by one of our inspectors. We have dimension changes for $3,095.43. We have a revision for the pavilion roof monitor soffit for $7,977.54. And then there's lighting shields for $1,635.88. And Mr. Estevez is going to look into the labor charges associated with this because it was noted on the proposal that there would be 8 hours of labor, which seems a little much to install 2 soffits, but we are not experts, so maybe that's what it does take.
That's why Al's going to find out for us.
Right, right. So what I am going to do is I'm going to move to approve the community center building project, OPM contract amendment 4, project closeout, change order 74, and the construction change orders as presented, with the caveat that Al will go back and just confirm that the labor charges on PCO 076 are appropriate.
Oh, second, sorry. If that was a motion, was that a motion or?
So I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, Robin? Dave, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think it's a Robin issue.
Oh, it was me. For some reason, it went to my iPods,
Oh.
which were lying on the desk here. So did
Did
you
it go to Holbrook? So
did you hear the motion or no?
yeah, did you hear me second? And because
No, I didn't hear you second because.
Okay, so you
All right.
made a motion, I seconded it.
Okay, all in favor, I, Robin Hunter.
I, Dave Haviland.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Al.
Al, thanks very much. Have a great night.
Enjoy dinner. All right. So moving right along, we are now at a budget discussion. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike Blanchard.
Yeah, so this is just an ongoing item that the board had asked to have on, just so we could have continuing discussions as we work through the budget process. Just for some updates for the general public, the warrant committee last week held their first of 2 nights of kind of more in-depth budget reviews. The second will be tomorrow. We have also been meeting offline with a working group with a representative from the Selectmen, capital budget, and the warrant committee to try to continue to push through and work through some of the budget challenges this year, and then keep the respective committees updated. And then lastly, the capital committee has not had an opportunity to meet recently, and so we're working through that now. And I don't know if Rob, you have any updates on that, but we hope to get that process re-engaged and moving along as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm having trouble pulling up my spreadsheet for some reason, but our current operating budget increase is at 3.3%, which is certainly very manageable and a realistic increase. It's the capital that's really driving the increase in the budget.
And I can give a little bit of an update on capital. So, we're still going through the diligence process for capital. Mr. Haviland and I met individually today with the DPW, and the consultants that have been advising us regarding the fuel island replacement. So we do have a lot of really great information. All of the questions have been answered. And I believe at our next meeting on the 24th, we will be voting on that. Right now, based upon the capital policy, all capital items over $1 million are typically funded via debt. And we expect that that's how we will fund these. We do have concerns about the future debt service and the town's ability to absorb that. So we have been looking for a consultant to help us pull together a debt waterfall schedule, but I believe Chris, who is our director of finance, is working with the interim director of finance to pull that together. It does not impact this current fiscal year, but we really need to get a handle on that debt service and match it up with future capital as we move forward, because there may be a need for us to shift some things out. What has become apparent is that this capital does need to be replaced. It's not nice to haves, it's more need to haves. But, unfortunately, we may have to prioritize the need to haves and just push things out so that we can more easily absorb the debt service than otherwise. So, it's an art. So we will continue to look at it. We were fortunate this year that there was $1 million more free cash than what our model had anticipated. So we're going to be able to use that to offset some of this higher than normal capital expenditures. So, definitely for fiscal year 26, we're in a good place, and we want to continue to keep the town's finances strong, maintain our AAA rating. And so we're going to work through how best to do that.
With the bond underwriter or the most appropriate party to help
Exactly.
guide so that we keep everything you just said.
Exactly. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
And, the town departments have been very flexible working with us. They understand that sometimes things need to be pushed out. I think personally, the meeting I had today with the consultants was very, very informative. They had all of the answers I was looking for. And I think, what we need to really focus on is facts.
Yes.
There is no doubt in my mind that this fuel island, it's 30 years old and it needs to get replaced.
That is the one thing that is no one has said
right.
boo about. I mean, we need to replace the fuel island.
Right.
So now it comes down to where's the best place. And that may come down to dollars and cents as well as operational efficiency and a whole bunch of, I'm going to call them secondary or tertiary reasons to move it. But we need a fuel island. It's just. So, and Mike, thank you for setting up my meeting as well. I thought that it was, it might have been a little stressful for Kevin, but it's better to have a stressful meeting with one-on-one than it is in front of town meeting. So.
Well, Dave, I
appreciate
don't
you
know
both
how
being-
stressful it was, because they said in my meeting, which wasn't stressful at all, that we covered all the same points. So
good. So, well, look, I feel a whole lot better after having our meeting this morning. And now we just need that last chip to fall, get an answer from the underwriter, and then we're done, ready to go here. So, especially given the fact that the insurance underwriters very nicely let us know that while we're covered, if we just ignore this forever, we're going to lose that coverage. So we've got to replace the fuel island in a reasonably timely fashion, and that means let's do it.
Right, and for me, kicking the can down the road indefinitely is not an option, because the longer you wait, the higher the likelihood of those fuel tanks being compromised. So, you know, if they're 30 years old, it's time to begin to think about the replacement. So, you know, instead of in selectmen updates, since this is budget related, what I would like to discuss here is just the school budget. So the school has presented their budget to both the Warren Committee and as the liaison to the Warren Committee, I have a request that the school has made. So what the school has done in version 3.0 of their budget, which will be approved by the school committee, I believe, on Thursday night, is they have found an additional $177,000 of reductions that they can make within and this is the Chickering school budget, within the in-district budget. So typically, the town also has two components to the school budget. They have the in-district budget, which is regular education, and then the out-of-district budget. And the out-of-district budget is offset by circuit breaker, which is state funding. That funding is primarily, the source of that funding is primarily the Massachusetts millionaires tax. And so at this point, there is no threat to circuit breaker funding levels staying where they have been over the last few years, which is somewhere around 70% of the total cost. We have no control over out-of-district costs. Sometimes families move in that require out-of-district services, and those automatically become part of the town of Dover's budget. If the student was part of another community that was receiving out-of-district or circuit breaker, those funds do ultimately come back to Dover. We typically budget the out-of-district based upon information that we have available to us in March. And then changes occur, that sometimes we get new cases that come in after March that need to be funded. The philosophy in the town of Dover has been to always fund the budget, the school budget, both in district and out of district, at 100%. And then the town has an agreement with the Dover School Committee that circuit breaker then gets returned to the town. There are years where not 100% of circuit breaker gets turned back to the town because a case has come in after March and we've used those circuit breaker funds to fund the cost of that case, and the net comes back to the town. This year, we're in a very unique position. The school committee has two additional placements that they are aware of, out-of-district placements, totaling approximately $630,000. And what the school committee also knows is that another one of those cases is going to age out. So, you know, we need to fund these through age 22. What we don't know about, and this is the risk we have every single year, is whether or not something's going to happen after March or after town meeting. So what the school committee has approached us with is, rather than artificially inflate the budget or have the town fund this additional $630,000, they do know for certain that a second case equal to this amount is aging out. So they are suggesting that we only fund the budget as is, don't increase the funding keep it flat because we are projected to get back a very large amount of circuit breaker funds for fiscal year 26. They have talked to Warren about this. Warren is on board. Everybody understands that the risk here is what will happen after the budget is approved, but that's the risk that we have every year. And the school committee asked that I present this to the Board of Selectmen and get our approval to keep the budget as they have presented it and not have them inflated by this additional 630,000.
It certainly is a reasonable request, Robin.
Right.
And as long as everyone is 100% transparent that we're not doing this because of some nefarious reason that I can't even come up with a good one,
Right.
but that this is literally a move in and a move out, and it doesn't make sense to tag the budget with $600,000 increase for the schools if it's not needed. So. Another thing, just sorry, the old school committee is going to come out in me. The regional agreement, for those who are not familiar with it, dictates that Dover take any special education expense 0 through 23. It doesn't go to the region when they age out of Chickering.
Exactly.
And the same thing happens with Sherburne with their students. So we're responsible for this, and therefore you can say with certainty when a child is going to age out versus move out, which is until it happens,
Exactly.
you can't count on it.
Right.
But it's for special education. And way back when we built the Chickering School, when I was on the school committee, the exact same issues came up every year. It's out of everyone's control, and they can be very large dollars one way or the other. And so the agreement that we have with our school committee is an amazing one, and as long as that doesn't go away, I'm all for this.
Right, and you know, they actually provided a 7-year history of what has been returned, and on average almost 1.2 million has been returned to the town annually. You know, and some years it's 1.3 million, and other years it's 700,000, and you know, some years it may even be less than that. It just really depends on the move-ins that occur after town meeting that we're still responsible for funding.
Right. So I think I'm comfortable in letting
Okay.
the school committee know that they have been very transparent, and as long as everyone continues so that it lives on next year, when everyone, because I'm thinking 5 years from now, and everyone's going to go back and say, well, how come this didn't have that increase? It's because Dawn and the school committee were looking
We're
forward,
forward
said,
thinking, right?
Don't boost your budget by 600,000 if you don't need it.
Right.
So.
Right. And that was their point. It was just an artificially inflating it, and they did not want to do that for the town.
Well, given where we are with the budget, thank you.
Right, right. Okay, and then so Mike, I guess we'll go to item 1.5.
Perfect.
Which
Wait, quickly before we leave budget, it's a nit, but I don't think we've done it yet. The planning board is looking for the numbers of their warrant. So we discussed the order, but did we actually ever put it down and set it?
No, so where we left it was that Nina, and I actually reached out to her for an update. She's working on finalizing the number and order we need for the different revolving fund articles we need.
Yeah.
As soon as that's set, the numbering will all fall into place. So what I believe where we left it with you is that once Nina does that, I'll review it with the town moderator, and then if he's good with it, that'll be our working numbering system. Formally, when you vote to sign the final warrant, that'll officially set it in stone. But for all intents and purposes, once we have the order set, and they shouldn't change. So
Yes,
I'll finalize that with Nina, coordinate that with Jim, and then we can let the various petitioners and board and committees know.
Could we maybe,
Super.
since planning board asked, could we maybe just shoot them an update in an email and let them know where we stand?
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. It just,
Absolutely.
it's a reasonable request, but for
Absolutely.
another good reason, we can't quite meet it yet. So,
God, those revolving funds are gonna be the death of us.
Big
No
picture.
impact on the budget. That's
Right,
the
right.
irony of it all.
and we'll probably spend an hour on it, but
I
never
know,
mind.
I know, I know.
So sorry, yeah, goals and priorities.
So I just had two
The
small
number one
updates.
goal is to get numbers for the warrant.
That's right. I'll add that to the list. And then not to put Chris on the spot, but I may ask him to give just a little update on the aggregation as soon as I'm done. So the only two things I had were one, Dave just set the next Board of Selectmen office hours. And those are going to be on Thursday, March 20th. And Dave chose a morning slot, which I think was a really great idea because our last two were late afternoon, early evening slots. So this will be from 10 to 11:30 a.m. So again, Thursday, March 20th, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. in the Selectmen's meeting room. So we'll continue meeting that goal. We're continuing to move forward on our permitting software. I'm not sure if when we last met the grant had been submitted yet, but the grant had been submitted. And we hope to know this month whether the grant's awarded, whether it be in full or partially. As a reminder to the board, we have the full amount needed in our operating budget. So depending on what's received through the grant, we'll be able to reduce the operating budget by that number. We do have so the staff has been doing a lot of work led by Chris on narrowing down the various vendors that we have. But we're having an in-person demo with the vendor that the staff believes will be the best choice with board and committee chairs, specifically the land use planning departments. So they have an opportunity to see the software, have their questions answered, and hopefully address any concerns they might have. And really, we just hope they're as excited as we are because we think it's a really impressive and good product.
I'll go out on a limb, Mike. The answer is yes.
You're right. That's what we hope, but we still want to go through the process. And then, Chris, if it's not too on the spot, do you want to just give a little update on what's next for aggregation, electricity aggregation?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have good news on the aggregation front. The RFP for a consultant to coordinate our aggregation process ended on February 13th. We got one proposal back, and the good news is that it's a pretty good proposal. So it meets all the criteria as laid out in our RFP. And right now I extended a call to them just to ask for a little mutually agreed extra time to review and make sure that what is presented is perfect for us. But the next step would be to prepare an agreement and bring it back to the board for review and approval so we can get going on the process. So we're not sure what that will look like, but I hope to have some sort of presentation put together for your benefit and also the community's benefit as kind of a kickoff to this. So good things to come, and hopefully we'll be talking about it soon.
That's terrific.
That's excellent news.
That is terrific.
So Mike, I have a thought and I'm thinking out loud, and you guys can tell me if you think it's a really stupid idea. But I was thinking maybe for my next Board of Selectmen office hours in April, instead of people coming to me, I could go to them. So I was thinking, maybe, I don't know, maybe the COA, I know they meet. And maybe I could just meet with them and, we could even talk about town meeting and the budget or something like that. So if you want to try coordinate with Janet, and if she thinks it's a good idea, then I could do that. It's not an original idea. Actually, a citizen mentioned it to me, and I thought it was actually a good way, instead of asking people to come to us, maybe sometimes we go to them. And, especially when the community centers open, you know, maybe then we could do a couple of our office hours around different activities there to try and reach out to different demographics in the town.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you could, I mean, then you go to the Chickering community, then you go to the regional
Exactly,
community, then,
exactly.
that's a great idea. And if, the whole point here is communication, so
Right,
let's
and
make
to
it as easy
try
as
and,
possible.
right, so to make ourselves more accessible to people, you know, so maybe that's a way, maybe figure out when the next PTO meeting is and go to that. Or I know the middle school has I think it's still positive, maybe go to one of their meetings. There's Dover Mothers Association, and that way we can really hit different demographics within the town.
Great idea, whoever came up with it.
Yeah.
So, boy, it makes my morning hours look kind of paltry in comparison.
No, I think that's a great idea. I mean, we're just trying.
Yes. Oh, I'm teasing. So yeah, that's good though. And we'll see if activity levels stay up. But what I like about your idea, Robin, is someone might not have an issue that they deem worthy of setting 20 minutes to go speak with a selectman,
Right.
but they would ask it in an open forum.
Right. And, you know, it would be a casual forum and just,
Yep.
you know, whatever they want to talk about.
So the COAs are great, and they're a super group. When right before Mike and Chris went and met with them, I did the same thing, and wow, it's just a wonderful free flow of information and ideas. So
Right. And, you know, and then we could tell them that I'm going to do my office hours around some event that they're having, and then they can think about questions that they have or issues that they have with me. But
I thought you were going to
if
go
I could
visit.
get some of the questions ahead of time so I could prepare, I would be very, very happy. But if they want to put me on the spot, I'm okay with that too.
I thought you were going to say you were going to go visit people, but only if they were nice, warm vacation spots. So
No. But that was one of my, I guess I should have waited for Board of Selectmen updates for that.
Well, that'd just make that go faster.
Right.
All right, we got 10 minutes for you to make your mark here. So
Okay. Oh, I talked too much. All right, Board of Selectmen updates. The busy season has started. You know, I think we were both at the Warrants' first marathon session. You know, it's a different approach. It was a very, very, very long night. I mean, I was exhausted following that. So, you know, I think we have to try it and see in the end if it works or if we should do something different. But, you know, certainly there was a lot of information that was presented. And I think that was the object of it.
yes, I just want to quickly go on record that while we both are at the meetings, I'm in listening only mode with my camera off. And if Robin is there, then Robin's the liaison. The only time I would go live is if Robin was not there. So we're not breaking open meeting law, but to both.
Good point. Right.
You know, we need to learn the budget and know where we are. And the only way for me to do that is to go to these meetings and listen. So I just wanted to put that out there if anyone ever wondered. But yeah, it's budget season, and because other than that, planning board had a fairly benign meeting last night. They're ramping up with all their warrant articles and getting ready. Then also they had the MBTA, that initial, so there's a rail trail, there's the MBTA, there's so many things going on, it's amazing. But the boards are doing a great job at bringing these along, educating the public, and giving plenty of opportunity for feedback from the public. So kudos to all of them.
Right. And I thought the piece in the newsletter, Chris, highlighting the MBTA Communities Act. That was great. You know, it's really important for us as a town to get that information out there. I did have the benefit of listening to the planning board's presentation, which was really good at the housing task force. And, you know, the key again is this is the start of a public comment period. We are asking the community to get engaged. We are asking the community to educate themselves. We are trying to make information readily available to them, you know, through the newsletter, on the website. Everything is current. We encourage people to attend these information sessions, because there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding the MBTA Communities Act. And the town has done a lot of work, and we want to be ready for town meeting in October. Is it October, the first town meeting? Yeah.
It's either September, October. The
Right,
date, I always
right.
accept the date. I'll look
It's on the
for it.
website, if only
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
before I
It's
spoke.
this fall.
Right.
September 29th, Monday,
Yeah, the
September
fall.
29th.
Almost October.
Right.
That's well said. Please don't wait until town meeting to start
Educate
learning
yourself.
about this.
Right.
It actually is fairly benign, and the planning board is doing a great job at keeping it that way for the town of Dover. And it sounds god awful, but it really isn't. So,
Right. And you know, we have professionals helping us make
Yep.
sure that the information is accurate. We use state funding to help us identify sites that could potentially be overlay areas. And again, I can't encourage the citizens of Dover enough to please look at the website, read the newsletter, engage, get information, email the planning board if you have questions. But it's really important to get accurate information. So, Mike, I think we can go to town administrator updates.
Great. So just, you mentioned a couple of these things. I just want to make sure, given that we're on Facebook and people are watching. So you mentioned we held a really successful rail trail public forum on February 25th. It is now available on our website in YouTube page. If you go there, if you missed it, please go and watch. And there's a Google form that you can still submit feedback and any questions or comments you have about the project. So we encourage people to do that. You also talked about the planning board, who's working really hard on the MBTA Communities Act. Their public information session is set for March 25th at 7 p.m. And again, that'll be via Zoom. So as you mentioned, we really do encourage people to participate in that. A couple other dates just to say out loud. The town caucus is a week from yesterday. So it's Monday the 10th here in the Great Hall at 7:30. And then open hearing is lined up for March. I just lost the date. Is it the 17th? Yeah, March 17th.
It's the 17th.
Yeah,
right.
thanks. At 6 o'clock. Again here in the Great Hall. And then just to update the public and the board, we continue to follow the open meeting, remote meeting laws. So as we talked about, I think we talked about our last meeting, the provision to allow these meetings via Zoom is set to expire at the end of this month. There are a lot of action at the state level. There's bills and from the House, from the Senate, all to extend that deadline, really with the hopes of making this permanent, because they've extended a number of times since COVID. So we're hoping just to make it final. So we're continuing to monitor that in hopes that we don't all have to flip a switch and all go back in person all the time in April. So I'll let the board and the public know, but we are continuing to monitor that. And that's all I have for tonight. And we have 5 minutes for the consent agenda, and we can meet Dave's timeline.
Read slowly, Robin.
No. I mean, we got a lot done and we're being efficient. So this is the last item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda, which consists of the following. Approve acceptance and expenditure of Council on Aging gift for $7,500 from the Friends of Dover COA to fund programs and services for seniors. Approve acceptance and expenditure of a formula grant for $21,705 to the Council on Aging from the Mass Executive Office of Elder Affairs to serve and support seniors in Dover and surrounding communities. To approve the release of $37,500 in earmarked funds from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security for the fire department safety gear, and to approve 2025 one-day liquor licenses for March 7th, 27th, and April 3rd. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
All right. And then
And just before you adjourn, I caught my eye at the end of the agenda. Just your next meeting is a little different, so I just thought we'd say it out loud. So we are meeting on Tuesday, March 25th at noon. So it's a little different for the public. So we just want to make sure people are aware of that time change.
Tuesday, March 25th at noon, correct.
And I appreciate everybody accommodating my European schedule.
Not at all. So
It will be 5 p.m. for me
Right.
because they don't move their clocks forward until the end of March.
Okay.
So instead of there being a 6-hour time difference, there's a 5-hour time difference for 3 weeks.
yeah, that's probably a lot more germane for you than it is for us, but good to know
It's
anyway.
wonderful for me because instead of my meeting starting at 6 a.m., they now start at 7. Wonderful. I get to sleep in for an hour.
Terrific.
Yep. So with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So second.
All in favor? I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
And thank you, everyone. And Chris and Mike, thanks. And Mona, thanks for
Yeah,
everything
thanks,
you
Mona.
guys do.
Quick, Mona, show your face just so you can say you did it.
She won't do it.
Not tonight.
Her system's doing an update. That's her story, and she's sticking to it.
Mona, I tried to see if I could quickly goad you and panic you into doing it, but it didn't work. So, all right.
Thanks,
Well,
everyone.
terrific. Everyone have a wonderful night. We'll, I guess we'll see you tomorrow, right? I will. Are you going to be there?
Let the
Robin?
record show I'm a minute early.
Are you going to be there at the Kane presentation tomorrow?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I guess not.
No, I
Robin-
can't make
yeah,
it.
Robin
I
can-
sent an email. I can't make it.
Okay,
And I was hoping you could represent me.
absolutely. I just didn't know if you were going to make it or not.
Right.
So, all right.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Everybody.
Good night.
See ya.